going to start us this morning, and we do record the GAE retired lunch bunches, and they end up ultimately on the GAE retired YouTube channel. So if you missed something today and you want to take a look again at what was said, then please take a look at our YouTube channel. So I'm Karen Solheim. I'm your GAE retired alternate director and a couple other hats, and so glad everybody could be here this morning. We have spent some time in previous lunch bunches talking about Alzheimer's and dementia and just some things that happen as we age. And I'm pretty excited today about the presentation that Emily's going to share with us, because this is going to be information that when we start to consult Dr. Google, and I'm sure we're all guilty as charged, I'm thinking that Emily's going to share with us how do we figure out the quacks from the non-quacks and all those other kinds of things. So without further ado, Emily, I am going to turn it over to you if that's all right. And you should have, as I mentioned, screen sharing rights. So please educate us about what we need to know so we don't go down the frightful path of misinformation.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me okay? Wonderful.
Yes.
I'm hoping that this goes well and that everyone can see me, because I managed to get out of COVID without having to do Zoom presentations. So this will be my first. So I hope everything goes well. You know, we always get a chance to learn something new. So I am so excited that you guys have invited me here today and that we can all learn and walk through this together. So thank you so much for inviting me and letting me have a few moments of your time today. I'm going to make sure that you guys can see my screen. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful. Yay, we're good. Okay, well, first I want to give a little background about myself. I am a 2017 graduate of the University of Georgia with my bachelor's in health promotion. And then, yay, go dogs.
Dogs.
And
Dogs.
Julie, I don't see your screen. I still see the gallery.
You still see the gallery?
Yeah.
I am looking to see. Is that everybody, or can everybody see?
I can just see you, but not your presentation.
I can see
Wonderful.
you.
Just see me right now. Yes, it's just me, not
Okay.
my presentation yet.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful. So, and then I also went to the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, to get my health coaching certificate in 2019, right before COVID hit. And then I started my small business, How to Healthcare, where I like to talk and discuss all things healthcare and how to help patients navigate the healthcare system and be a liaison between the healthcare system and patients, so that we can take charge of our health. I also volunteer as a board member at Lydia's Place, and I volunteer as a board member at the Athens Area Diaper Bank. And I'm currently on the advisory board for a school system that has just been awarded for a school-based health center. And so we're working on getting that started. So that's just a little bit about me real quick.
And if I can ask, not everybody on this Zoom is from Athens, unfortunately. So what is Lydia's Place?
Lydia's Place, thank you so much for asking. We provide housing and living skills and support for teens, young adults who have aged out of the foster care system and or have been homeless. And so we take them in, we house them, we teach them living skills like finances, medical, all the kinds of things, just to be able to navigate health that a lot of us have parents as we get older to help us navigate our young adulthood. We're there to help support them. They go through our Elevate program, and they are required to attend school. So we partner with Embark at UGA, which they also provide education for these kids that have aged out of foster care. And we require that they at least get their certificate, go to a smaller small college, or go to the University of Georgia. And we also require that they have a part-time job. And we just form a little family with them and wrap around them to support them before we launch them off to adulthood.
Thank you for sharing. And as you're loading your PowerPoint, I do need to ask, we have iPhone 7 listed as one of our participants. So iPhone 7, could you please identify yourself just by opening your mic or putting something in the chat? That would be lovely. Okay, I'm through with that announcement. Thanks, Emily.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. So can everyone see that?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, this is the start of my little presentation, and I need to let everyone know that today's program is possible from a grant supported by the National Network of Libraries of Medicine and All of Us Research Program. The workshop materials and a lot of this information was gathered and developed by the Wisconsin Health Information, a nonprofit organization based in Wisconsin. And some reverb. Okay, so who has left the doctor's office with questions, tried doing research of a family member or friend's illness, or had concerns of new symptoms that just came about? What have we all done to get answers? We can either make this a answer time, or I can just go straight through the presentation if it's too difficult for everyone to pop in and talk, or we can just go straight through. I'm happy to do either.
I think that why don't we make sure you get through your presentation, since we are at an hour in terms of time, and if people could put questions in the chat or just write them down, and we'll hold questions to the end if that works for everyone.
Wonderful. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so when we have gone to the doctor and we have questions, of course, like you said earlier, we all like to go online and search Dr. Google to see what kind of information that we can find. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with going online to search for that information. Technology is a huge part of today's world, and it's really important to empower ourselves to be able to find the information that we need so that we can advocate for our health. What's important is how we use the information to maintain our health and help us make healthy decisions. And we want to be able to pick out the information that's fact and true and reliable versus opinions or biases and lies. Because anyone can put up a web page, and I can vouch for that because I have put up my own web page. If you can find me on howtohealthcare.net, anyone can create stuff. Nowadays on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, anyone create something and say that it's valid information. So today we're going to go through this and find out, how do we know whether or not it is truly valid information or not? So before we start walking through this, we're going to search for trusted health information, how to read the web page, the differences between using a computer, a mobile device, and online resources for your health. So it's just really important that when you find online information, it doesn't replace the advice from a medical professional. We always want to talk to our doctor before taking the advice of what we find online. I like to use what I find online to bring with me to the doctor's office so that I can present to them what I have found, because I know my body best. And so I want to advocate for myself and make sure that I'm in the driver's seat when it comes to my health care. I think it's really important, though, that you let the doctor know where you found your information so that y'all can walk through it together. And sometimes I'll even print it out so that they can see the article that I was looking at. And that helps us get on the same page so that when I say, this is what I'm looking at, and I want your doctor-based information, because they have gone to medical school for many, many years, and they are the expert when it comes to medical care, but we're the expert when it comes to our bodies. So it's really important that we develop that partnership and work together, be at the same table, and walk through our healthcare together.
So,
yes, ma'am.
Stop you for just a nanosecond. A couple people are we're going to see if we can get this technology going. So if you're just seeing Emily's presentation in a small window, change your view in the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom to speaker view. And that should make it so that you see the presentation a little bit better. And then I'm getting some feedback. So if you are logged in, could you please, if you're not Emily and presenting or me at this point in time, could you please go through it and mute just so that we eliminate the feedback? I think that's all the technology info at this point in time. Thanks.
I could share something else too. If anybody, I don't know if you were able to hand this out or print this out or get this out. I'll be going along with this too as we go through. If not, you can use it as a reference for later on.
I'm going to put a link in the chat, even as you speak, to that handout.
Wonderful. Thank you. You'll be fine going through it without without it in hand, but I will let you know when I'm going over it that you can reference that handout, just so you have that information to walk away with today. Okay, so real quick, we'll go over some web terminology because I think a lot of people already know a lot of these terms, but we just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So we have our URL, which is the web address. That's what we type in, the www.google.com, that anything that you're looking up. You have the search bar that's at the top where you can usually, you'll put in like, I have a cold, or, where is Montana, or anything that you want to put down in the search bar. For your browser, that's the tool for browsing the websites. That is like Chrome, Internet Explorer, your Firefox. So if anyone says to get on your browser, that's what they mean. There's different platforms that you can get onto. Your domain is the 3 letters at the end. So we'll discuss that in a minute about the differences between .com, .net, .org. Those are your domains. And spam, now this isn't the can of spam that you may know and everyone might like to eat. This is a very harmful to your computer system and privacy if you're not careful. And so this is when we want to be real careful of any pop-ups or things that you click on, because then you'll get emails from unknown senders and they'll pretend to be someone you know. So you just want to be real careful about sharing information on websites. We'll go over a little bit of that, but a lot of times websites will pop up, hey, do you want to lose weight? And you click yes. That's a way that you can get spam. And then a hyperlink is here for an example. It's the cdc.gov. You can see when I scroll my pointer over it, I get a little hand there. And if I click on it, it could take us straight there as a hyperlink. So we want to ask ourselves, how can using online resources for health be helpful? Because there is a great tool that we have at our fingertips now where we can have it available to us to look up lots of information. There's no more going into the bottom of the basement of libraries, looking through a microfiche, looking through countless encyclopedias. We have it all at our fingertips now. So it's a great way to find information quickly. We can check our health symptoms. We can research our diseases. It helps us, gives us an aid as we communicate with our doctors. We can find helpful wellness tips and we can track our health conditions. So much valuable information that's out there. So when we're looking for health information, it's a great tool to be able to look at different websites, especially when we may not know where to start looking, we can go to a search engine. So different search engines are like duckduckgo.com. You have google.com, there's bing.com. There's lots of different places that you can go to search. And so when you search like Google or Bing, there are marketing companies that are tracking you. So when you are going and you're looking at certain symptoms, you might start seeing drug companies pop up, or you might start seeing the latest craze pop up because you've searched for a health symptom. And so if you don't want your searches tracked, you can use duckduckgo.com. That helps you be able to not have your information shared or personal information collected, but it is only limited to duckduckgo.com. If you go outside of that, once you start searching, it can then track you. Another great way would be using Google, and I will show you how to do, it's called Google Chrome. See if I can get that popped up. Hopefully everyone can see that on the screen. If you go up here to the little 3 little dots at the top, there's one that's called a new incognito window. If that one will pop up, it might be a little slow. This is where I'm not sure about whether or not my technology will work.
So we're seeing your Zoom screen.
Yes, I see that. If it doesn't work, we will move on.
So now it's back to your PowerPoint.
This is new technology for me. And so if you go up to the top of your search engine, you can see a Google Incognito, and that's what you'll click on. If you're at your phone or computer, Google Chrome is usually an app-based. I'm gonna try one more time. What I might can do is this. There we
There
go.
it looks like incognito.
Incognito. Up here is a little 3 dot in the corner there, and you can go down to new incognito window, and you'll look at this little guy, everything will go dark. But this is a great way so that no one can track you. And that way you can fill out your patient forms online and they won't be tracked. You can do financial information online that won't be tracked. It's a great way that you can keep things a little bit more private without being tracked. So I have a handout for that, for giving you tips for when you are searching. On the handout, you'll be able to reference back. You want to be able to list multiple symptoms whenever you're searching for things, like if your tooth hurts, if you have a headache, you want to include all that in one search. But it's really helpful to not use acronyms. So you don't want to be shorthanded with things. We'll go over that in just a minute, but you want to be able to write it out. So like instead of EOB, you would actually spell out explanation of benefits. And you also want to make sure that you're very specific when it comes to gender. So if you type in stomach cramping, you need to put in like female stomach cramping versus male stomach cramping. Just be as specific as you can, also with age. Because if you're looking at a fever for babies or a fever for a middle-aged adult or an older adult, it's really important that you look at the different ages, because all of that will be different too. You also want to limit your abbreviations from IDK or I don't know or things like that. You want to be able to write it all out. So real quick, I'm gonna hop over and we're going to kind of walk through this search together. So for example, let's say you just saw the doctor and you're about your symptoms and they told you it sounds like an upper respiratory infection. You're given papers before you leave called an after visit summary. A lot of us will get that as we leave. You'll see a lot of like your weight, your height, what you discussed with the doctor today, further instructions, and so on and so forth. And so after that, you might want to learn more about your diagnosis. And on the papers, you see the following words. You'll see upper respiratory infection, cold, or URI. So if we were to hop back over and type in URI at the very top, we would see the very first thing that pops up is the University of Rhode Island. So that wouldn't help us when we were looking and searching for information. So right here is where I typed in my search bar, the URI. And that's why it's helpful to not type that in. And so you wouldn't be able to, even on the next one says Uniform Resource Identifier. It doesn't say anything about what URI is. But if you have one like that and you don't know what it means, you can type in medical after. And it pops up Johns Hopkins Medicine, upper respiratory infection. So anytime you see an abbreviation that a doctor may provide you, you can always type in medical if you don't know what it stands for. So it's really important that you notice that when we first typed it in, the first two results weren't what we were looking for. So it's really important that you kind of keep scrolling and looking through as you get the information. So that's what we're talking about on browsers. And so next we'll go on to how to read a web page. There's also a handout. On the handout, you'll be able to back and reference this as well, the information to help you navigate through this. But here's an example for health.com. And when we're scanning from search engines, you can see multiple reviews. And if you don't find what you want, you can retype it in the search box. Just don't continue to add words. You want to try to research again. It's all in, I'm sure I have lots of researchers on here. It's all in the words you use when you research. So it's a lot about using the right keywords when you go through. When you get to the web page and you want to read it real quick, that's something else that we're taught when we're researching papers really fast, is to scan so that you're not reading all day long. What you want to do is you want to start with the bigger words, big bold words that you can see, read left to right on the web page. You want to use the toolbar or top menu button up here is the top menu so that you can see and navigate straight to where you want to go. You want to look at the main content of the page to see what the purpose of the page is, to make sure that you're on the right start with searching. There's a lot of pages that have advertisements. If you see here in these tiny little words, these little advertisements, and these are the things that we want to be careful not to click on, because that's what can take us off into a rabbit hole and click on other things. So you'll see a lot of advertisements on the sides or at the top. And you want to see if that's quality advertisements or if that's completely irrelevant to what you're looking at, to see if the ad is promoting something that's health related or if it's an ad that's like far-fetched and trying to sell you a scam or trying to get you to subscribe or pay for services. Is it an ad for a website? Those are all the things that we want to do when we're quickly scanning a web page. So when we look to evaluate the actual website, we want to be a bit of a detective, find out who's responsible for the website, who created the content on the page you're evaluating, and we want to see if the websites are very clear about who created it, and we want to know, like, if they're businesses, they want users to know who they are. Of course, they're going to automatically say, hey, look at us. If you go to that About Us section, you'll be able to see exactly who it is, what they're doing, because they're going to be proud of their work, of course. You want to find high quality stores that want users to feel comfortable buying online. These are all ways to find out if it's a good or helpful website. Everything will be really clear to who's running the website. You can look at a contact us or a customer service link. Before you even really get started in the web page, you can already do a little investigating just on the home menu button to look at the About Us, the Contact Us, to see who's running the show before we even go any further. Sometimes the About Us isn't at the very top. You can scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. You can see some customer reviews and ratings. When the website says one thing about itself, you'll see 5-star reviews over and over and over again. But if you continue researching and you find that other outside sources don't agree with what the website says, more times than not, I would trust the outside sources. You want to see if there's unbiased research information. Is the information you're reading supported by facts and not someone's opinion? So a lot of times you'll want to check the bottom of the web page for dates or sponsors or other details. So if at the very bottom of the page, you might see like a copyright or the page last updated on, if it hasn't been updated in the last 5 years, it might not be maintained or the organization may no longer exist. You can also check for sponsors at the bottom of the page. Do they link the actual organizations that are trusted? A lot of times you'll see at the bottom if it's funded by the government or if it's funded by another organization outside of that website. And then when we look at the domain differences, if you'll look here at the .com, when we're typing in our websites and you see a .com, it's mostly owned by a commercial business. If you see one that's a .gov, it's a government owned. The .org is owned by usually a nonprofit, and then the .edu, of course, is owned by a school. So when we're looking for websites for credibility, I've also listed a lot of this on the handout. You can look for different things to see and what to be careful of. Medical providers writing articles about topics in their practice. So if you're looking at it, if it's a Dr. Sam or whoever, you want to make sure that they're a foot doctor if they're writing about podiatry. You don't want to see a doctorate of, we've got a bunch of teachers here, lots of doctorates in English or doctorate in math or whichever that we can do. You want to make sure that whoever's writing the article, what it is that they're a doctor of and what their practice is. And you want to see if the site provides contact information. It should be listed clearly at the bottom, like a physical address or a way to contact them. It shouldn't be hard to find. Is the information clear and straightforward? Who reviews the content? A lot of people have to go through reviews. Is it a board of directors? Is it medical doctors, MDs, DOs versus medical experts? Because nowadays a lot of people can call themselves a medical expert, but we want to see what is their expertise in. And we want to find out if it's based on credible research findings. And then do they have a privacy policy? And that's important because if you scan their privacy policy, you can find out whether or not your email it will be shared to third-party vendors. So if you sign up on their website, if their privacy policy is to share to third parties, you might start getting a lot of spam emails. And so that's the certain things that you want to watch out for. You also want to find out if there's certain brand names or products being credited. They might be trying to sell you something. And if it's opinion-based, you want to look for red flags like we believe, or I feel, or I think. So it's things like that you want to take a look at. Let's review real fast the health.com and medlineplus.com to be able to look at both of those. Let's see if I can pull that up real fast.
You're doing great, Emily, despite having not Zoomed through the whole of COVID. So,
Oh, thank you. You can tell I'm a bit of a novice. Here we go.
yay.
Health.com. Thank you. So with health.com, again, when we're looking at .com, we know that that's a company. I'll go to the very top here. Here we see our advertisements. We see our menu button at the top. We can kind of scroll, like I said, left to right. We see other click on hyperlinks. So we want to be careful not to click on things immediately. First, you want to stop and look at the website fully before we click on anything. We look down here, we can see our medical expert board. We can find a lot of things about this just by scrolling this front page without clicking through anything else. And we scroll all the way to the bottom here, and we can see a lot of the other things. We have a privacy policy here. We have a contact. There's a lot of different things that we can learn about this web page. The one thing that we really want to find out here is at the very bottom there, you can see that it is supported by Meredith. Health is part of the Meredith publishing family. So we find out that health.com is actually a magazine trying to sell you a subscription. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's for you to know. And you want to be able to decide, do I want to possibly get further information from them or not? So that's just a way that you can look and choose if you want to further your information there. The next one, ta-da, medlineplus.gov. So that being .gov, of course, is government owned. You can see at the very top here, it's an official website of the United States government. We know who it is. We can see their customer support, their top menu button. We look, everything is right here at the very beginning. There's no advertisements on this page, and we're already right here at the very bottom of the page. And here we can find out their policies, where they're located, who does a lot of their funding. It's very organized and detailed information, and it's a service of the National Libraries of Medicine and the Department of Health and Human Services. So lots of information that you can find out about this page. So then once you do this, you have a little search button here. You have other hyperlinks that you can click on, and you'll know once you read that privacy policy whether or not they use your information for anything. Okay. So we're going to go real quick through some medical information sources. Based on your level of comfort with health words and verbiage and information. So the first is kind of more of a basic consumer health information. It's for the everyday patient. It's a good starting point to find health information. It's less technical terminology. It's more layman's terms to be able to navigate through. I've provided several. I won't click on them today for sake of time. But we have some that are the medlineplus.gov. That's the one I just showed you. That's a great website to go to search for symptoms, to search for illnesses and diseases. CDC, those are the two government websites, but we also have some that are not government websites. One is healthline.com, and then another is familydoctor.org. And those are all great suggestions for health information to find that's easy and comprehensive for patients to just jump onto and find out some information. The next is a more moderately technical and advanced. So if you have a medical professional or someone that's in the healthcare realm, some sort of a way, and has a little bit more medical terminology, those websites are the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, .gov, the AHRQ.gov, that's one of my favorites. And the CDC, of course, has some materials for professionals, just as an example. So it's a lot of places, if you're more versed in the medical terminology, to go and find out some great information, some research studies, and different things like that. And then, of course, for the very technical is the this is for like medical academic settings, and it's not usually available to the public. It's usually cost for physicians or others to be a part of. But the AAFP.org and the Mayo Clinic has some resources there as well. So what do we think about Wikipedia? A lot of people ask about Wikipedia. Wikipedia isn't the worst thing in the world. It can be a good source sometimes just to get a general idea. But of course, we always have to double check what we find, because this website can be edited by anyone at any time. So it's constantly updated. It's not reviewed by experts. It's not endorsed by anyone. So if you're looking and you're just doing a quick Google and Wikipedia comes up, it could be a good place just to get an idea or to help you narrow down maybe some other words that you would like to search. So here are some websites to search for recommendations. So healthgrades.com is a healthcare rating website to help you find a doctor or a hospital. This is nice because you can search based on where the doctor or hospital is located and if they accept your insurance. I always say to be cautious when looking at healthgrades.com or any grading system for physicians, to make sure that what they are being rated on is their level of care, not based on their office manager, their office staff, the timeliness of things. You want to first look at an actual rating of the doctor, their bedside manner, just whether or not they're easy to communicate with, if they're a good listener. Those are the things that I look for when I am reviewing. And then I separate to see, is there a long wait time in this office? That could be a number of reasons why they're behind. Or, You know, you don't want to not go see a doctor just because the front desk is rude, if you're looking for a good doctor. So it's just things to just separate out between the two when you're looking at grading. Care.com is just another website to find a caregiver, childcare, home cleaning. It's a fee-for-service website. So you'll have to pay for an account, but it's just another place that you can access some information. But again, you want to look and try to find as many reviews as possible, not just look on the website for their reviews, because of course everybody likes to give themselves 5 stars. And remember that any doctor can also get any negative reviews. You want to find out a little bit more, even when you're talking to friends and family. If they say, oh, I didn't like that doctor, it's really important to find out why. Maybe the doctor was just having a bad day, or maybe that's how they always are. So it's really important to just dive in deeper when you're looking for specific doctors and areas. So when we're looking and evaluating sources, this will also be on the handout that you'll have this information to cross-reference back to. When we're evaluating a website and we're there looking at healthline.gov or cdc.gov, we want to look and do the same thing we did for our sources on this specific website to check for credibility. So we're going to ask a little bit more questions to find out more deep dive and specific to the website. We want to find out who's providing the information. Where's that research coming from? Why did they create the site? Are they just wanting your subscription or your, monthly fee to get this information? Do they want your personal information? Who's paying for the site? Is everything up to date? All that information up to date? And then are they believable with their claims and statements? It's all these things that it's a great checklist to have handy as you go through and you start looking and pulling up websites to see, yes, this is good, valid information, or no, this is not. Let's keep looking. So when you're looking, there's different ways that we can access our information nowadays. We've got computers, mobile devices like cell phones and iPads and all these things. And of course, there's always pros and cons to everything. Of course, with our cell phones, it's a smaller screen. The drop-down icons sometimes don't work because when you set up a web page, it is different than when you set it up on a cell phone. And I've walked through that myself, setting up my own web page, because it is difficult trying to get the information and the links to match up on a cell phone because it is so different than on a computer. So sometimes it's harder to scroll through the cell phone because you're scrolling for so long. And the biggest thing I would say with cell phones is that we accidentally click on things when we're scrolling. So you want to be real careful, especially if you're dealing with delicate health information or personal information, that you try to sit at a computer for that, because when we scroll with our mobile, we can't help but sometimes accidentally click on something with our fingers. But mobiles do have apps that are really handy too to be able to access information. Computers, of course, like a desktop or laptop, you've got a bigger screen. Usually you can see a lot more information at one time. So if you're doing a deep dive for some research on a website or any type of source, it's really good to have all the information on a bigger screen to be able to navigate and have little sidebars and see their search engines. And usually there's more visuals and information. And so it's just easier too to not accidentally click on those advertisements that pop up and things like that. Another great source that we have nowadays is we have the Siri or Alexa that we can just simply ask them, hey, Alexa, or hey, Siri, what does a copay mean? Or what does something else mean? I hope I didn't make everybody's phone just go off. So we also have health portals. Health portals are wonderful information at our fingertips where we can access our after visit summaries, our medications, our information, communication with providers. It's a lot of us have, it can either be like an EHR, which is an electronic health record, or an EMR, which is the electronic medical record. both are just a little bit different, but very similar. In Athens here, we have the Piedmont, and they access My Chart. There's the Northeast Georgia Health System that has, I don't know what theirs is called, but there's a lot of different patient portals. And unfortunately, right now, a lot of the specialists aren't on the same systems. So that gets to be a bit of a headache when we're looking at portals because we're having to access so many of them. But portals are a fantastic way to stay on top of your information. I love using my health portal because I can get my labs before I even go back and see a doctor. And if I can access my labs and look over them, when I go for my follow-up, I can raise any concerns or I can start my research beforehand. And a lot of those labs have a lot of the acronyms and things, and that's where you can type those in. CBC, you can type in medical after that. You can type in all kinds of things to find out more information about your labs so that you have all that knowledge to present and sit at the table with your doctor with. We also have this new world of wearables. Everybody's got their Apple Watches and tracking steps, but there's a lot of other great ways too to be able to find some more information. This one here is called Cardia. I don't know if everyone has seen that as a advertisement on TV. I'm gonna pull that up so you can see it a little bit. I do not sell or endorse. I am just purely providing information. But Cardia is there as a way to check an EKG right there at your fingertips. You can look on their website at cardia.com, KARDIA.com, and you can scroll through, find out if that's something that's for you. You can see they come even as like a credit card or just a little strip where you can check for EKGs and all kinds of information. You can go here on this website and check out to see if it's valid information. But it's just another great tool like a thermometer that we can keep track of our health. Another one would be, you can also have your blood pressure cuff attached to an app. You can bring all this or send it all to your doctor. This other one's called an Aura ring. Show that one real quick too. It's pretty interesting. It's a little smart ring that you pay for, and it helps you stay on top of your health too. It can monitor your heart rate and pulse ox or blood oxygen levels while you sleep. So some people don't like to sleep with a watch on. It might cut off circulation. This is just another way that you can track health information to just be more knowledgeable about your health. There's also all kinds of apps and app trackers. Mayo Clinic here has one. It's mayoclinic.org/apps. You can just simply Google search Mayo Clinic apps. They also have apps that can be helpful to use. Medicare has some, Aetna has some. You can find some that help you with your health insurance provider. Just all kinds of information that you can just use nowadays. There's just so much technology at our fingertips. The internet, Google, wearables, it's all right there for us. So I have reached the end of my presentation. So I am happy to answer any questions.
Well, Emily, this has, for me, has been wonderful. I feel like I've gotten a twofer, not only about finding good health information and good sources on the internet, but just overall about being a good looker-upper on the internet. So this has been great.
Wonderful.
We'll open it up for questions. If you want to raise your hand, put the question in the chat, or if you have just a burning desire to unmute and to ask. So what questions do we have today?
I I've had some ask about the cookies, the little bar that you saw pop up about the cookies. I've had that asked before. A lot of times I will just X out of it. You may not see a lot of information though. If you X out of it, you can accept the cookies. All that is again, it's tracking. So if you're on Google incognito, it shouldn't be tracking you. But you can accept cookies, and there's a way to go through and clear those cookies on your computer so that you won't be tracked. It's not anything that will harm your computer. It's not anything else like that. It's just another way that they want to track us.
So questions, comments, concerns?
I just hope that this information is helpful. I think it's all great. Just to be empowered as you go to your doctor's office. For so long, we have felt like just the person on the receiving end as opposed to sitting down with our doctor. And it's really important. We know our bodies best. And it's important that we sit down along with the doctor. They care about us. That's what they're there for. If they're not, go find another doctor if you can. But they're there. They're there to listen and talk. And we just need to get back in the driver's seat and be able to be real specific about our symptoms, not a diagnosis, but be specific about our symptoms. And all this is a great way to find and put those words for us to be able to come to the table with it.
And before Robin asks, Barbara put in the chat, should we delete and clear the cookies each time we exit the computer? I delete early and often just because I don't particularly like sharing with the world and being a guinea pig in that particular fashion. So, Robin.
Actually, you said questions or comments. So my comment is, I thought she was excellent. I just wanted to say that out loud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing. Any other questions? Emily, if you want to put your contact info in the chat,
Absolutely.
if you don't feel apprehensive about that, that way, if people think of things later, they can go through and share. And in our time remaining, if there are not any questions or concerns, Ms. Russell.
Hi. Thank you all for the presentation, Emily. That was great. Actually,
Thank you.
have been doing a good bit of what you're saying for some years in referencing to the part of having access to your medical records ahead of time, going to
Yes.
the websites that the providers provide. So I'm actually doing that this week. So I've already printed out my information. I'm already researching the acronyms, because one of the things they don't do on some of the sites, they don't give you what those acronyms mean.
Yes.
Some of them I know, most of them I don't know. So I go in and I research to find out. So, and I have got to write my questions out before tomorrow to be prepared to talk with the doctor. So that's something that I already practiced. So I was glad to hear that you're sharing that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you do. That sounds great. And I love that you raised up that you brought your questions. I do. I'll bring a whole sheet of paper
Yes.
with my most important topics. So thank you for sharing that. That's absolutely wonderful. It's so important because we forget. We just get a little nervous or get a little distracted. Yeah, it's so wonderful
That's
to have
correct.
printouts, to have your questions. You're going to a meeting. Let's be prepared.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. It's your body. So we have to
Right. Yes.
be proactive and take care of ourselves as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Somebody said, for anyone who's not too familiar with computers, do you recommend any learning sites? I think that's an entirely different presentation in terms of we probably could all refresh our computer skills in terms of what to do. Emily, you want to share any advice you have?
Yes, local libraries are a fantastic place. Local libraries. Senior centers. We have a lot of senior centers in the area too. Senior centers, local libraries. If anyone isn't a part of OLLI, OLLI at UGA, they provide a lot of information like that as well. It's a group for 55 and older learning individuals that can go, and they'll do presentations also on computers.
And there's also an Emory branch of OLLI in the Atlanta area. And I know from having looked through the catalog, this is how I found Emily's presentation, but some of the presentations are virtual, even after COVID here. So it is a great way to hone your skills on a variety of topics. So Emily, I want to just say thank you, and people will reach out if they have further questions or concerns. And my mind is at the explosion stage right now, which is good. I feel like I've been challenged today with different ways of looking at things and being an advocate for me. So thank you so
Fabulous.
much. In our time remaining, I'm going to just share some things that are happening that are on my radar with GAE and GAE retired. So Emily, you're more than welcome to go get lunch if you want
Wonderful.
to. Or,
Thank you
again,
so much. Thank you so much for the invite, and I appreciate all your time and attention. And please do reach out if anybody has any questions, concerns, or anything further. I'm always happy to help, because that's all I'm passionate about, is helping people be able to navigate the healthcare system better. So thank you so much.
thank you.
Have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thanks. So screen share is okay, good. So one of the things that's happening almost immediately this evening, as you know, that last week was Sine Die, the 40th day of our General Assembly. And so President Morgan just put it out yesterday, and hopefully the link is in the chat, to a legislative update session via Zoom that's happening this evening from 6:30 to 7:30. So if you want to know about the good, the bad, or the ugly that happened, vouchers, that happened this past legislative session from Lisa Morgan and our lobbyist, Joe Fleming, I would encourage you to sign up for that. The other things that I'm sharing, if you are a GAE retired member, hopefully you have received, as of the first day of April, no fooling, the In the Loop newsletter. And if you haven't, I'm hoping Tony, who's our GAE retired president, could perhaps put the link in the chat where you can sign up to receive our retired newsletter. A lot is happening this month, and we just had our lunch bunch. Today, I feel chagrined because I'm sitting in front of you with turquoise on and not wearing my red for Ed. But please go through and we do promote Red for Ed Wednesdays. And if you have applied to be a nominee for any of the GAE retired positions that were open, such as on the GAE Board of Directors or as a delegate to our GAE Representative Assembly, the results are in this newsletter. Please do take a look. And we have, Tony, how many delegates do we have? 41 or 42?
This year, we actually have 42 because electee number 41 and 42 got the exact same percentage of votes. So we have 42 seats. That does, the past presidents do not infringe on that. So we will have more in the delegation, but 42 official delegates.
Great, thank you for that number. So if you are a delegate representing GAE retired at the GAE Representative Assembly, there is a pre-meeting to bring everyone up to speed of what's going to be happening at the GAE Representative Assembly. So I don't see any harm if you're not a delegate and you want to know what's happening at the RA, you're more than welcome. I think, Tony, if I'm not misspeaking, to attend this, just so that you know what, if you were visiting, for example, the RA, what GAE retired is looking forward to at the Representative Assembly. We will have our all. Go ahead.
I put the link in the chat.
Oh, you are good.
The newsletter.
Thank you. GAE retired has our all-member conference, usually in conjunction the day before the GAE Representative Assembly. This particular conference and all of them are open to all GAE retired members, will be down at the airport hotel. So again, please join us. Dr. Buster Evans, who is the executive director of our teacher retirement system of Georgia, will be the featured speaker. And if you've never heard Buster waxing prosaically about TRS, he is animated and excited because we have a great TRS system. If you'd like to up your skills and put something new on your resume, NEA, the mothership, has positions open, and we do have some deadlines coming up, so you could explore that if you like. At the GAE all member conference, we will be going through and voting on some proposed constitutional bylaws amendments. Always exciting language, but take a look at that. And the spring representative assembly is starting April 19th through the 21st, again at the Atlanta Renaissance Concourse Hotel. One of our initiatives, I think for almost a decade, if not longer, has been the Books and Bears. We ask people who are attending the representative assembly to bring a children's book, a teddy bear, can be any stuffed animal, to the representative assembly. And the Books and Bears will be donated to local public elementary schools. So even if you're not attending the representative assembly, bring your Books and Bears, and this is a warm fuzzy in terms of a win-win. April 22nd, last day to vote, to register to vote for the general primary. So if you're not registered to vote, don't make eye contact with me. No, I'm just kidding. But do go to the Secretary of State's webpage and sign up so that you can voice your opinion at the ballot box for our upcoming primary and then presidential elections this year. One of the things that GAE Retired does is to hold pre-retirement seminars throughout the year. And we usually do 4 a year. Our last one is the last Saturday in April. They are via Zoom, so more people can attend without having to drive across the state. These pre-retirement seminars, they are free. They are open to members and non-members. So please share this information with your colleagues, however you can, with your friends. And we say within 5 years of retirement, we don't take a survey. We don't make you affirm that you are within 5 years, but we have so much good information being shared, yes, in the 4 hours that we are together that day. And I encourage people to attend as many of these as possible before retiring, because we all know retiring is one of the most important things that you will do. And again, you want to go through and be informed about your retirement if you haven't retired already. End of the month through mid-May, advance voting for the general primary. The NEA Foundation is having a gala in May. There's information about that. If you're going to vote in the general primary for absentee, by absentee ballot, May 10th is the deadline. And GAE retired representatives attend the TRS meetings. And our current TRS representative is Lisa Underwood, who does an excellent job of attending TRS board meetings when active members are working on a Wednesday at 10:30 in the morning. So again, if you would like to know what transpired at the most recent meeting, this is a hot link, and it's just a great source of information. Again, our TRS retirement system is one of the best in the nation. And then I'll just go through and end with this, since we're almost at the end of our hour. If you recruit a pre-retired or a retired member and you'd like to be entered into a drawing for a $50 gift card, somebody has to win that. Please go through and share your recruitment efforts at this hot link here. And if you need more information about recruiting retired and active members, if you'll go through and continue on through the newsletter, there's information about the current dues structure for both retired and pre-retired members. And Tony, you have your hand up.
Yes, just a couple of things. I put the links in the chat to register for the all-member conference and the pre-retirement seminar. But I'd just like for us all to congratulate Vivian Brooks, our newly elected retired at-large director, who will be seated on the GAE Board of Directors. I believe Vivian is still on. I don't know if you want to turn your camera on, Vivian, or not, but congratulations on your election.
Thank you for sharing that, Tony, and congratulations, Vivian. And
Thank you.
And Robin McDaniel, you have, sorry, wrong last name, Robin. You have
I
your
would have
hand up,
answered.
and we are at our hour. So Robin, please share.
Real quick, TSA has a post-retirement event. It is at Clayton State, but I've never seen them do anything with post-retirement. So you may want to take a look at it.
Can you email me that information and we'll get it out to people?
I sure will.
Thank you, Robin McDonald. We are at 12:31. Sorry for going over by a minute. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for all you do and have done for public education, and hope to see you at next month's lunch bunch, first Wednesday of the month, when we'll talk about election 2024. Y'all have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.